Well, if we're gonna find any ghosts, we better split up.
You're listening to Never Split Up, a horror movie podcast.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
Hi everyone, once again to the Never Split Up podcast. My name's Nolan. Alongside as always, is Anthony. This is episode 91. We are covering 28 years later, released last month, 2025. And because we're covering 28 years later, of course, we have the lovely Oriana Nichelle back on the podcast. What's going on, Oriana? How you doing?
Not too much. I'm doing well. I'm excited. When I watched this film, I was so stoked to come on and talk about it with you too, because we had been building up for this, and now finally the event has happened, and I'm just ready to gab about it.
Yes, it has happened. The long hiatus from this franchise. I'm excited to dive in. Anthony, what's going on with you? I know you just watched this recently, so everything's kind of percolating in your brain still, I'm sure.
Yes, I just saw this for the first time. Finally went back to the theaters. I just saw it last night, and I am ready to talk about it. I can't wait to get to this.
Me too. I think this is going to be a fun episode because this is a pretty, wild movie without saying too much right away. But before we get into it, Anthony, did you want to talk about anything? I don't think we've ran any polls recently.
No, guys, sorry. Life has been lifing, but I will run the polls this week. And just happy I know what you did last summer week to everyone. And we can't get to the movies because there's so much shit to see. I have to catch up on so much.
I know what you did last summer is releasing this upcoming weekend. We just covered the sequel, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Was our last episode a couple weeks ago. We obviously covered the original last summer, which is fitting, last summer. Yeah. So check those out in preparation for the new one, and then we're going to be covering the new one. We're going to roll right in to the new one, so get ready for that. But for now, it is the 28 years later movie, and let's just dive in. I feel like we're going to have a lot to say. And let's go over the casting crew and some synopsis.
All right, let me give you guys the IMDb synopsis. A group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission into the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors. It was directed by Danny Boyle, who directed the OG, written by Alex Garland, and it stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, Ralph Fiennes, we can't forget Alfie Williams, and we have a quick little cameo by Kevin O'Connell. And yeah, it's big cast. Like Nolan said, it came out June 20. I think it came out, June 19th or something like that. And yeah, it had a budget of $60 million, and it's made almost $140 million worldwide. So big budget, but it's doing well. I don't know if it's doing as well as they would have liked it for that big budget. The first two had way lower budgets, but it's still doing well. It's making money, and we're getting a sequel anyway, so we're good. Can't wait to get in this.
Yeah, for sure. I know we talked about the budget last time around, and you were saying you think it was just for this movie. I did see that it is split between this one, and they already shot the next one, so the budget isn't quite as inflated as we originally thought.
Yeah, I think they said, I originally saw reports of 75 just for this, but it's 60 just for this one.
Okay.
Which is still crazy, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's doing good. It's doing good.
Yeah, and you forgot the most important actor in this movie, all 28 inches of him. That was a main character. We will get into that. I love all the memes and all the TikToks and everything.
I've been avoiding everything because I haven't been able to see it. So I'm just able to dive in now.
I mean, seeing that on the big screen, it didn't need any extra help, but that, man, feel bad for the people in the front row.
Oh gosh. Poke an eye out.
Okay, so who wants to go first? Overall thoughts?
Let's go.
Oriana, I will let you pick because you are a guest. If you want to go or pick one of us.
Actually, Nolan, you saw it twice, so
okay.
I want your opinion.
Yeah, I'll kick us off. I don't mind, of course.
Woo.
Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen some of my Twitter posts. I mean, I couldn't help it. This movie came out a month ago, so I wanted to talk about it on Twitter. I've posted a couple things about it. I've posted some rankings for the year, like horror rankings, and I think I posted a quick review. So I'm not sure if you guys saw that or not, but I love this movie. I think this movie is ambitious. It's just the second watch obviously really helped with that. I liked it the first time a lot, but I was like, holy moly. I mean, Danny Boyle just going for it, swinging for the fences. And then the second time I watched it, I kind of like, it sunk in more and it kind of made me realize everything that Danny Boyle was going for. And I think it was a hit on almost every front. Like I said, it's very ambitious. Danny Boyle loves to push boundaries. I think there are people that don't like this film, and they're probably the same ones who maybe didn't appreciate 28 Days Later when it came out, because that was very ambitious for an infected movie. So I think he's kind of just keep pushing the boundaries of this subgenre, which I really appreciate it. He makes a lot of choices for such a well established genre in, we call it the zombie genre. I mean, everyone agrees that these are zombie movies, even though they're not conventional zombie movies. We still call them that. But he takes a lot of swings, like I said, and for the most part, they hit with me. This movie feels like two different movies, the first half and the second half. We get the first half is like a father-son kind of survivalist film. It's very kind of edge of your seat and intense. And then the second half of the movie just brings you through all of the emotions. I did not expect to laugh so much and cry so much in a 28 years later film. It's I don't want to say too much because I know this is like the spoiler free part, but I appreciated all the things he did, and I know it's not going to be for everyone, but I love how he explained how the rage virus has grown and has kind of taken form over these last 28 years, because that was the big question, right? More than anything is like, what does this virus look like 28 years later? How is he going to pull this off to make it believable? And I think he pulled it off. I think he nailed it. And I can't wait for the next one. The ending, I love the ending. I know people hated the ending, even though it's like a 2-minute clip. It like ruined the movie for them, which I think is ridiculous. I thought it was great. It did feel very different, obviously tonally from the rest of the movie, but obviously it's meant to put to be there to usher in the second part of this trilogy. So I was fine with it, and yeah, it just worked for me. I'm excited to kind of dive into this movie. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Whatever, it's up to you.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go. All right. So when my first watch, since I only watched it once, I was nitpicking so heavily. I was comparing it to the two other films, and I didn't like a lot of the choices. But then once I started discussing it and going over everything that Danny Boyle was doing, I was like, this is genius. He gave me everything I wanted. I wanted to see this virus evolve. I didn't want to see the same two movies that I saw before. I think I was just going in with those like blinders at first and not able to appreciate it for what it was when I first was watching it. But then sitting back and thinking about it and realizing how great this story is. You do feel like you have two different films when you're watching it. From at the beginning, we're getting that initial, like, this is what like this society is like right now for people who live with the infected and how it's evolved. And then you see the people on the mainland really like evolved, and then you see the infected, and it's it was great. I And then the ending took me by complete surprise, but it was again genius writing. I feel like it was just all of the things worked. It took you off guard, that you it wasn't what you were going to expect when you're like ending a 28 like film. You're just like, what just happened? But it worked so well. And I know it didn't work for everyone, but I loved it, and I thought I it's one of those I would rewatch it just so you can get all of the different little like lores and parts of the story that they've put into this film. And it makes me so excited to see the Bone Temple in January. I'm more than looking forward to seeing the second part of this. But yeah,
So
I
you need a
yeah.
rewatch. Sounds
I
like.
definitely need a rewatch because I want to go in with that like open mind again. Because I
Yeah.
was at first like I was gonna admit I was being a little salty about it, but then like stepping back and realizing that I did want something different. I didn't want to rewatch the same film because you can't replicate those two films, like regardless. And
Right.
there are scenes that build that intensity, and so it was just he gave us like he gave me what I was asking for, and I didn't even realize exactly what I was asking for until it was presented to me. And the
Mm,
only issue I had was because I wanted it a little bit more like 28, like any other
yeah.
film. But this one is very much like you could watch this on its own without the other two. But you can
Yeah.
also go back and watch because I feel like there is a lot of Easter eggs from the other two in this film that, you know, will also come into play in I feel like in Bone Temple, but I don't know. I loved it. I ended up really loving it.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, because all three of these movies feel so different. But I love
Mhm.
the nods to the first two movies that he added into this movie, and I definitely picked up on them more as I thought about the movie after the fact and then watched it a second time. So, okay, Ant. Without further ado, what's your?
Okay.
Are we 3 for 3 here? What's going on with you?
I am fresh watch, and guys, this is the 28 Days Later movie I have been waiting for. I
Yes.
am absolutely in love with this movie. It instantly shot to my top 3 movies of the year, and it's honestly fighting with my number 1. Just a little bit of my headspace going into this movie. Obviously, I was sick like the Thursday night I was supposed to go see it, and then, unfortunately, my dad collapsed Saturday, passed away over the opening weekend, passed away the Monday after it came out. Wasn't able to go to the movies for a bit. Saw this movie, and God, this movie hit me like a fucking freight train. I'm happy I didn't see it with Nolan because I was literally like shoulder shrugged, like bawling my eyes out by the end of this movie. It was harrowing, intense, heartbreaking, hopeful, emotional, violent. It was so beautiful, like visually and thematically. I was so taken aback. I was like, okay, Danny Boyle, like, damn, you are like just giving me everything I want in a movie and in a 28 Days Later Infected movie. I know I talked about how 28 Days Later, super character driven. I love it. It's great. But the third act for me was a little jarring. And then 28 weeks later, it's your popcorn horror movie with very mean moments, but not the most memorable characters. I feel like it's funny that this one, I feel like critics love it, but the audiences are so divisive. I'm like, this one to me, it's like, it's character focused, but it still has a few more like thrilling set pieces than the first one. It's definitely not a popcorn horror movie, but it gives you this bloody goods, but it's also just wants to tell you a very powerful emotional story. So I'm just like divisive. I'm like, this movie is just everything I want and more. So to me, I'm like, this is crazy to me. I thought it's funny that you guys say it felt like two different movies, and I've seen that a lot too. For me, it like flowed seamlessly. I thought like the transition from the father son to the mother son to the doc. I'm like, this is just makes sense to me. So it's so funny. And the ending, I don't understand the hate because I'm like, it's for me, the one nitpick would be like, this doesn't feel like the movie's not a complete movie because the ending's a tease for the sequel. And normally I would have an issue with that, but they already filmed the sequel, so I know I'm getting
Yeah.
it. So I don't really care about that. And you would think that, I mean, not to get into spoilers, but like survive, just like the infected are mutating and a bunch of them are different, the survivors also adapt differently. And it makes sense in a post apocalyptic world to have like some cult shit going on. So I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. And it was just a fun throwback to the beginning. You got some Teletubbies shit going on in here. The score and the music was like gave me chills, like literally chills and tears throughout the entire movie. I thought Danny Boyle's visual cues were amazing. He had these little like montages that just flowed so well. It's just him doing his thing. It was never going to be like your run of the mill like legacy sequel. This
No.
is him doing something creative. And that's what I want. And these three movies are so different and you can't say that about like a lot of trilogies. And this is a movie that's, 23 years later after the first one. I'm just so thankful that we have it. Um I would have maybe liked a little more of like Aaron Taylor Johnson interaction with Jodie Comer, the mother, because there's like a conflicting relationship there, and I almost wish he was like with them maybe a little bit of the trip. But then when I'm like, oh, this is like a coming of age movie. And if you guys don't know, like other than horror, my secret sauce for movies for some reason, I'm obsessed with coming of age. So Danny Boyle like literally made this movie specifically for me. So I am absolutely like super super in love with this movie. It did everything for me. So damn almost perfect for me. I cannot wait to talk about it.
Okay.
I was blown
Dang.
away,
All right.
honestly. I was
Yeah.
blown away by this movie.
This is
Yeah.
going to be fun. So 3 for
Yeah.
3 for us. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that, Anthony, too. With everything going on in your real life, seeing this movie, this must have been so
my
cathartic
God.
for you in a way. And
It was very cathartic.
Yeah.
Cathartic. I need that. You know, it helped
what
me
a,
deal.
what
I'm
a
like, holy
return
shit.
to the
Yeah.
theaters. I mean, because I didn't
Yeah.
even, for some reason, connect with
Yeah.
me. But, man, yeah, that must have
Yeah.
been an experience for you. So,
it
okay, yeah,
was.
I'm really glad we're all on this, kind of on the same page here. We all, seems like we loved it. Oriana, you're a little bit more, like you were a little bit more, like you said, nitpicky, but I'm glad that you had an open mind enough to maybe talk about it with others and kind of think about it and sit with it and really open your mind to it, because that's what Danny Boyle is trying to make us do, I think, is just kind of go in with an open mind. And I knew Anthony was going to like it, because I know he goes in with these movies with an open mind. So I was really going to be disappointed, Ann, if you didn't like this movie, because, yeah, I
No,
agree
this
with you.
is
I think
fucking-
it's fighting for my number one spot. It might be my number one spot so far for the year. So, yeah, okay. So, recommend from all three of us.
Go see
And-
it. Like if you haven't seen
Yep.
it, go see it.
I love what you said, Anthony, how Danny Boyle was never going to make like a legacy sequel run of the mill.
Right.
Like he was always going to push the boundary. And that's kind of what makes me excited for this trilogy, that he's not going to just do, like, he's not doing the trilogy just to do it. Like, he has a solid script and concept. And shout out to Alex Garland as well, who wrote the script,
Oh.
helped write the script. I mean, I feel like Garland has been playing a little safe in his career the last few years with his scripts and his directing, but with this script, I mean, he knocked it out of the park in terms of just going for it. So shout out to him as well. But okay, let's dive right in. This opening, again, 3 for 3 with openings. This opening is, I think,
So
really
good.
cool. It may not be as, dare I say, iconic as the first one, of course, and not as emotionally
Awesome.
charged as the
Crazy.
second one.
Yeah.
It tries to go there, but I feel like it's not maybe on the same level, but it's still amazing what they did. I love how it brings us, obviously it brings us back to kind of day zero, right? Or day one of this infection, which is a great way to kind of kick us off after what I think it was, you said 23 years in real time, Anthony, since between the two movies.
Yeah.
So it was a great way to kind of bring us back into this world. I love how the kids are all sitting in the room. You said they're watching the Teletubbies, and the family is like, you know, stay quiet, stay hidden. Like, they don't know what to do, the family. Like, us as viewers, we're veterans of this world, so we know, like, get your shit and get your kids and get the fuck out. So I love how they kind of mess with us as viewers, because you have a family who doesn't know what to do. They don't know what's going on. They maybe don't know the severity of what's going on, and they have these kids just kind of waiting for slaughter. And the whole time you're just sitting there, and I know I was sitting there and my chest was heavy, just like waiting for that massacre. And I was like, oh my God.
As soon as it was Jimmy gets close to the door.
Jimmy.
Yeah,
Oh,
I get really anxious because you know it's coming, and you know, like, you hear everyone just being just taken over by the infected, and so you're just like feeling so bad for these kids because they don't know what's going on, but they know something bad is happening. And then when the door just goes and opens, and it's that one, it's the same thing that 28 always does with the, like, come in and then just take out everyone. And it's like, I felt like that was a good way to start, like, open, like, you get the group of kids and then you get the infected entering the room and we're back in it.
I mean, the sound design alone is
No.
so damn good in this opening. I would say the first one's iconic, the second one's kind of chaotic, and this one's just so threatening because we know, like, we're going back to 2002. You're like, oh no, you know it's coming. You're like, we're watching a bunch of kids in a room watching Teletubbies, so you're like, ugh, something's gonna go bad, and goddamn, it goes bad, and they go there. You see the blood flying, kids are taken out, and I'm just like, holy I knew, like, once this opening scene, I'm like, okay, this is my movie. I'm in love with it, and I just like how it builds and builds and builds to Jimmy running to the church, and then you have that whole sequence in the church that's so damn creepy and just unsettling, and then you just see him like just hiding underneath the floor, just watching everything happen. I thought it really sets the stage for what's to come, and it's so powerful. So yeah, this franchise 3 for 3 for openings. I love
I
it.
feel like Danny Boyle subconsciously was setting us up to kind of ease into the movie, because this opening does feel like the first two combined, the first two movies combined.
It does.
We have the
It
house
does.
setting, which is from the second movie, and like the people in the house and everything. So that's like a familiar sight. And then we go to the church, which we've seen before in the first movie. So we have that. So I feel like that was his way of trying to say, like, you're in good hands. Like, you know, this is the same universe, and now we're going to kind of push the boundaries after that. So I feel like it was a good transition.
Well, yeah,
100%.
even before he leaves the room in that the staircase scene where he's just like everyone is falling out of different
I
rooms
love
getting
that.
infected, and then he like I believe it's his mom pops up and like goes to
It
try,
is. Yep.
and it's just like it was just like, oh gosh, how are you gonna get like through this staircase, and then like another running and chasing scene into the church, and it's like you're already like afraid for this kid, and then he gets
Right.
into this church, and his is it this I didn't understand if it was his father or he was just calling him father, as in like a priest.
I took it as it's his actual father, but I knew
Yeah.
you could say father too, as like to the
Yeah.
father. But I thought it was his dad.
That's how I took it too.
That's how I
thought
took
about
it.
that, but the way that they were interacting, it definitely felt like it was his real father.
Okay.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
I
thought.
thought
But
about that too for a couple minutes.
I was like, is this? I was like, is it? I was like, I think it's your dad, but you could just be saying father, but no,
Yeah.
like, and then the way that his father was just not even really helping him. It was just like, well, this is
Right.
basically what is
Like,
happening
I'll
now.
sacrifice myself, but yeah.
Yeah.
Day of
Yeah.
Judgment. Go do your thing. And it's just crazy because it's a kid, like, you know, the kids in the second one, they at least knew what was going on. You know, they try to get locked in a room in this, and the parents are like, you know, stay there. And this kid's left alone after watching his mom and whatever siblings or whoever die. So it just makes it more heightened and a little more, it's scary. It's scary. And you see the kid going through it. And I love the church scene so much when they're climbing against the windows, because it's a church, you have like the red lighting and everything. I'm like, oh, the visuals alone in the opening scene, I'm like, ooh, chef's kiss. So I love it.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why it's believed that it's his real father, because he watched his mother, and now he's watching his father get like torn to pieces too, and I think that's what is going to set him up as a character moving forward. So yeah, so that was the opening. We get the time jump, obviously 28 years later. And,
28 years.
You know, I don't know about you guys, but I think it was implied and it was assumed that the dad, Jamie, was the little boy. That's what I was like, okay.
That's
like,
what I thought at
you know,
first.
he's the
Yeah,
little
me too.
boy, and he now has a son, and he grew up in this world, and that was kind of, you know, backstory for his character. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I love the little twist.
because I don't
of
think
how
we knew.
when
Did we hear his name? Like, did we hear the name Jimmy in the opening? I don't remember.
No.
I was waiting because I was like, I remember. No, we heard Jimmy in the opening, so I was
Oh,
waiting
okay.
to hear the dad be called. I was waiting to hear Aaron Taylor Johnson be called Jimmy.
See, I didn't pick up on
I
that.
don't
So
know.
Yes.
that's
Okay.
why I
I did,
thought
yeah.
for quite a bit that he was the little boy. It took me a while, especially obviously on the first watch. But yeah, so I feel like that was like a way to kind of throw us off, the way they kind of cut to him and his son. So I was like, oh, this is obviously, I mean, he's the right age, so it makes sense.
Right.
You know, he's
Like
around 30
Story
years old.
101, you're like, oh,
mid-
that's him.
30s,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, now we get onto this island in Scotland, I believe. It's a little island off the mainland Scotland, and
Oh,
we
I love
have
the vision.
life. We get introduced to what life is like for these people. We obviously find out that this isn't like the norm for everybody. It's just for this little community. And it's kind of nice. I mean, they have a little great thing going. I mean, they're able to eat real breakfast, and they have a stovetop, and they're eating bacon and eggs. And, you know, it's not the most glamorous lifestyle, but they're doing all right. They seem to be doing fine.
It's just so crazy how like the virus, you find out like the virus has been like eliminated besides this location. So like to think of their headset like other, and I love later in the movie where we'll get it to that, like you see a phone and like someone just like getting ready to go out to a bar. So it's like these people have to think that there's people in other parts of the world who are just like completely fine
Yeah.
living life, and they're literally quarantined. So like, what that must do mentally too. I like the setup of that,
Mm-hmm.
because imagine that headspace. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, because
But
it's
they have a good
not
community.
a
Yeah.
secret. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone knows that
Right.
they're fucked and
Right.
everyone else is not fucked, and that this is the fucked
Right.
zone. So yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. It definitely takes a toll. I would say, yeah, for sure, on these people
I
that they're
feel
just
like
like
they made
left
do
there.
though. They made do with what
Oh,
they
they did.
had.
Yeah.
They made do,
Hmm.
like they had a nice little community. Everyone had like I what I loved seeing is like everyone had their like jobs in the community, and the all we see all of the children like practicing hunting and going out, and there's weavers, and I loved seeing the little community that they have built despite being in this really fucked up situation and having to be quarantined from the rest of the world, that they've made do, and they made like a nice little world despite the fact. And I just loved being able to get to see that look into the world of people who just didn't succumb to the infection. Like
Right.
they really are trying to do their very best.
100%. I feel like I have a feeling like their way of going about life versus where we're about to go in the sequel was definitely the healthier
Yeah.
option. So it's funny to see how like people go about it in different ways. But I agree 100%. They're just like, this is life, and we got to make do with it.
It's definitely like the day to day. I would say is definitely like you said healthier, but I don't know. Watching this movie, especially twice, I got some weird vibes. I feel like Danny might explore the fact that other people maybe look at this community differently than how we looked at them in this movie, if that makes sense. Because they're very like ritualistic, and we see when he's going out on the hunt, when Spike and Jamie are going out, they're like all lined up and they're like cheering and they're having a parade for them.
Yeah, they're celebrating
which is,
it. Yeah.
it gave me kind of weird vibes. I was like, all right, it's a little maybe culty, dare I say, but they are making do, and I understand like the rules they have in place and everything, but I don't know, like I feel like maybe we're gonna explore that a little bit more, and how maybe other communities on the mainland might look at them differently, because there's a reason why they're so isolated, and it doesn't seem like they've been really attacked very frequently, at least for a while. I mean, they have their own little thing going. They go in 2-man groups, really 1.5, because Spike's never been out there before, so they're not super concerned, and I feel like it's going to play a role for sure. I think we're going to get more POVs other than this community, and it might kind of change our perspective.
Now I have a question, because like my brain last night, I was going through so many emotions. Now, when they went for the hunting ritual, was it? I know he wanted him to kill an infected, but were they a plan to go like bring animals back? Because I
No.
feel like their whole mission was just to have him kill
No, that's
infected. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so like it's irresponsible, because it's like I thought they're like, we need to get food, but it's like, no, he just wants him to kill infected. Like that's his coming of age ritual.
Well, it is.
So I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
I mean, it's
okay.
a ritual.
Yeah.
Jamie,
Yeah.
the way that he talks about the rage virus and the infected, like they're
Right.
just pieces of meat.
So I'm like,
and,
this is horrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
So I
layers
agree
that
with
go
Mom.
on, Yeah.
I agree with Mama Bear on the freaking out. I know she has her poor, so tragic, but I agree with her on like are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna take him there?
Yeah. So let's talk about Isla, played by Jodie Comer. Or how do you say it?
Excellent.
Comer, Comer, right?
Comer.
Yeah, Jodie.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent. I didn't think I was gonna love this character as much as I did by the end of the movie, obviously, but she really comes into her own. Obviously the second half of this movie. I thought she was just going to be a side character to kind of drive our main characters, but no, like you said, Anthony, maybe a slight nitpick for you, but I didn't really mind it. I was kind of wondering where he was, but the fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson's character Jamie just disappears from this film and becomes non-existent pretty much, and it just focuses on Spike and Isla is a little not jarring, but it's a major shift halfway through this movie, and it's one that I wasn't expecting at all.
Agree, but I also feel like where we leave the relationship of Spike and him, it makes sense. And when we find out, he just wants to help his mom, and the dad obviously is dealing with it in a different way, and some would say, obviously he's doing some very not good things. So but I just wanted maybe a scene, because obviously he loves them no matter how flawed he is. Maybe just see a scene going back of him like just searching for him quick, or like trying to search. That was but other than that, like when it really to me was like a mother son story at the end of the day. So that was so beautiful to me. But I just maybe like one scene of him, like, I cut back to him once rather than waiting till the very end to cut back to him.
I almost feel like that was intentional because at least for
It
me,
was,
I was waiting for him to show up pretty much the
Yeah.
whole time because I'm thinking, because like you, Ant, he's not the greatest guy, but he does love his son. And I'm sure he
And his
still
wife,
has love for his wife as well.
Right.
So I was expecting him to be out on the hunt, searching for them. I mean, like you said, we just went onto the main lane just to get Spike his first kill. So obviously it's not that big of a deal to him. He's pretty seasoned in leaving this community. So I would assume that he would have ran into them at some point, but it doesn't even, I'm sure he did, but they didn't even really explore the fact that he went looking for them at all. And he never showed up. So it was a choice. Yeah.
It just feels like he didn't even try. Once they left, it doesn't feel like at least his character even tried to even attempt. Like, here's his sick wife, like, out on the mainland with their son who doesn't really know how to kill the infected, and you don't even bother to go try. Like, I know there was like the argument between them two before, but it's like, if you truly care about your family, like, why are you just letting them go wander? And I kept expecting too for him to just pop up and be like, I'm here to like save the day. And I think that was very intentional because I feel like, again, like it's gonna come up
100%.
later in the second one.
Yeah, I mean, we did
I
get
feel like
that.
for me,
Go ahead, Dan.
No, sorry, go ahead. No, you
No,
go. I just feel like for me, I was like, I was like, as a person, I'm like, I want him to come like find his family, but as thinking back, I'm like, well, he's handling it like he's in denial clearly about his wife being like, he knows she's sick, but he's in denial. And then you have, Spike, who's like, action. Like, what do we do to fix it? And then I was like, oh, I want him to, like, one of them to save her, but then it's not really a story about saving her. It's a story about accepting, what's inevitable for her. So I'm like, oh. In the end, I'm like, okay, I'm okay with it. But I was, throughout the runtime, like, where he at? But at the end, they really won me over with the emotions.
I mean, we did get that one scene where I think the one leader on the gate, I think her name's Jenny. She explains that once you leave, nobody's gonna come rescue you. Like, we have a rule on that. So I guess maybe that plays a role. But it would have been cool to at least see him at the island, at the community, like at least try to go out, and then maybe they stopped him and said, listen, they're probably dead because it's a fucking little boy and it's a sick woman. So,
and I'm pretty sure her like saying was like, you can leave whenever, but like no one's coming to find you. You can come back whenever too if you're, but like no one's looking for you. So I'm like, I wanted to see him look for that, but he's, can we talk about that fucking causeway though? Oh my god, that visual of the. Like, I love how I love when they set the rules, like, the tide's coming in, I'm like, oh, that's so perfect.
Yeah.
For, like, I know we're going to have a set piece. And I was like, oh my god, it's just beautiful to look at alone. I'm like, I could just spend a whole movie watching them run back and forth on that alone. It was so beautiful. The fucking visuals in this movie just blew me away.
I was like, that's the ideal setup. If you ever want to be away from the infected, just have the, like, high tide come in at a certain point and then just, like, just time it.
So smart.
I was like, that's the perfect setup.
That's one of those things where, like, from script, from page to screen, they just absolutely nail it because it's such a cool concept, right? And then to actually visually nail it is just so cool. I mean, we'll get to the chase scene with that one alpha when they're being chased by the alpha. I mean, that's probably my favorite scene in the movie aesthetically, like with the stars above and everything.
It's so good. I was so tension filled, but I was just like, my jaw was dropping. Like, this is amazing looking. But I like what you said. I like Jodie Comer. I was worried that like she was gonna be like, this crazy like PTSD from something. But I mean, I'm like I'm like, oh my god, I hope that. But I like when they go on their trip, like she's sick or she's going through shit, but she fights back for her son too. When we see that little flashback, which I fucking love, that she fought for him. We'll get there, but I just like that she wasn't your typical crazy like grief ridden. I don't know, she lost someone else, but. Beautiful arc for her, I think. So I think her performance was one of the highlights. They were all good. I mean, obviously the kid Spike might be the standout, but she like really surprised me in her supporting role, I would say.
Yeah, I'm glad she had her moments too, because being introduced to her character, she's bedridden and she's very forgetful. You think maybe she has an advanced stage of dementia. That was my first guess. I thought maybe that she was infected, and that's how they were going to introduce the rage virus 28 years later.
Yeah, I kept thinking, I was like, oh, she's like the mom. She's definitely, I
Yeah.
thought she was like immune or something, or she's like, that's the whole time I was like, what does she have?
Yeah, I was trying to
And
look at her
so,
eyes to see if she had the different color eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
so
too.
that's how I
Me
was like,
too.
is she? Yeah, because that was my first guess when watching this movie was, okay, this is going to be the new rage virus. It's going to have a new strain where it
mm-hmm.
like affects people, but it doesn't turn them super aggressive, because that's the best way for the virus to survive. So that was my first, and I feel like again, definitely intentional from
Mm-hmm.
Danny and Alex to kind of throw us off, because that,
Oh yeah.
especially after watching 28 weeks later, you're thinking, yeah,
You're like,
sorry,
obviously
Spike.
she's
Dude.
infected. She's like,
Yeah.
that's like, she's got the rage virus inside her
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do.
I mean, cancer was the last thing on my
No.
mind.
Oh God, I love it. Yeah, Danny Boyle. He firing on all cylinders in this movie, in my opinion. What do you guys think of their actual? I was like really like irresponsible dad. I know he's coming of age and he has to kill. I'm like, God damn, he's clearly doesn't want to go, and he's scared.
Whoa, what was that? Is that your dog?
That's Dewey. Yeah, it's Ghostface coming. No, that's my dog Dewey. He doesn't like rain or storms, so he's having a little
is
bit
it
of a
raining over
meltdown.
by you? It's not raining here yet.
I just heard some thunder too, so he's
Aw.
acting up.
Poor
Aw.
Ghostface doesn't like the storm.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, the hunting trip. I was like, really? Like, I think what is he like 12 in this movie? I'm like, maybe if you're gonna get food, but they're like, no, we're taking him
I
out to
know.
get his first
Yeah,
kill.
that's the thing that got me. It's like, okay, maybe this is like
So
like
irresponsible.
you're old enough to kind of help me scavenge
Right.
for the community, but it was literally like, we're gonna waste all of these resources, these arrows and everything, just to get your first kill. And then he gets his first kill, and they stay out. They don't go back right away. He's like,
Right.
all right, like, we're gonna keep going. He's very kind of lackadaisical about the whole thing and just overconfident, and nothing's gonna happen until they see that beheaded skeleton
Oh my
head
God.
with the spine, and then shit gets real and hits the fan.
That like cow, whatever it was, cow. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But I almost took it as he's like, I keep forgetting Aaron Taylor, Jamie. That's his name,
Jamie,
right?
yeah.
I almost feel like he's like that's his outlet too, because obviously his personal life's got a lot going on. So he's like, I want to have this bonding thing with my son, and also like in another way, like he's the next generation. But I'm like, still the kid's like very scared. So I'm like, maybe a little more training on home base.
He wasn't ready.
Practicing
Let's
stuff.
be honest,
he wasn't
he
ready.
wasn't ready.
Yeah.
He definitely comes into his own by the end of this movie.
He was forced to
and
be ready.
He was
so
forced
that was
to be
great.
ready.
That's
but
coming of age. Yep.
It definitely wasn't ready. Yeah.
It
What
just-
did you guys think before we get? Oh, go ahead, Oriana. Yeah. What's your
Oh,
thought?
it just felt like he was trying to make him a prodigy because obviously he was like very well respected in the
100%.
community. And he's like, here's my son, like, here's my prodigy. And it felt more like sport for him. Like, it, definitely his
100%,
outlet
man.
because of how relaxed he was. Because when they were out, I was like, what are you doing? Like, get back. Like, get back before, like, high tide. Like, what are you doing? Why are you waiting on the mainland? And it's like, oh, well, this is someone who's been with this for 28 years. Like, this is just a regular, like, Tuesday for him. So that's
Right.
why he was more relaxed. But as a viewer, knowing what we know, you're just like, get off the island. So, I mean, that's what made me most intense is just watching them have fun. And I'm like, but something's going to go wrong. Like, and,
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
oh, yes.
Yeah, you're right. I
Definitely
mean, it
does.
has. We forget that this guy has been living with the infected for 28 years, so he's definitely desensitized to it. I mean, he, like you said,
Right.
he treats it as sport pretty much. I mean, he's just going out because it's not like they're going out to like cull the infected, thinking they're going to make a difference. Because if they were doing
It's
that, they would have
literally
went out
for-
with 20
yeah.
people and just
Mhm.
cleared an
Right.
area, and then they could have moved. But no, it was literally just him trying to make Spike into a man way too early. And then we
Right.
see that because when they get back later on, he tells tall tales about how Spike saved the day and completely
I'm like,
lies
oh, that
to the
part annoyed
community.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's almost the classic, like, this is like a different, obviously, lifestyle, but it's classic, like, dad who, like, was the high school quarterback who's living through his son who wants him to be It's like kind of like that kind of vibe, but, like, such a heightened
You're
thing. I'm
right.
like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? Like, chill out.
What did you
But
guys
goddamn.
think, before we get too far ahead? I personally loved it. I think it helped set the tone for the whole movie. What did you guys think of the choice of the kind of the imagery throughout of like the historical battles and everything?
Love it.
And the sound design with that going on. I thought that was really interesting. how it's not like in your face with the theming, and he's not trying to dumb it down for audiences, but it's enough to where it makes you think. I thought that was really beautiful.
I feel like he's added in, like, in the first one, we got all of the images at the beginning before we get
Yeah.
to that actual initial opening. So I feel like this was a very on par for him to add that imagery of it. And I feel like it worked for the film.
Oh, it worked for me. I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I loved how he intercut. I thought it was placed so perfectly throughout too. And when I from the trailer, whatever that one was, a poem or whatever, but that too, when they first went out, that gave me chills when they was like playing,
Yeah.
when they were walking out. I'm like, oh, it's so good. It's so yeah. I thought that was it set it apart from so many, even the other two movies. I'm like, wow, this is good. He's doing something different, and I I loved it so much.
Yeah,
I
'cause
like the intercut.
I'm with you, Ori. I thought it was going to be something he did in the beginning of the film, kind of similar to 28 Days. But then
Yeah,
I kept
no.
seeing it throughout, and I was like, okay, I like this, how he's kind of setting that theme throughout, that through line of kind of bring it back to, and it was different time periods. Like we got like the medieval and the
100%.
archers and stuff, and then it had more modern imagery. It was really well done. I think it was done pretty tastefully. It wasn't overdone, but it was sprinkled
No.
in
No.
enough to really kind of set like that creepy, eerie tone of, there are infected, but, the reason this virus is so dangerous is because it's humans that are infected. That's how I got it.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
And he's also building emotion with those things to your climax. So it's like, oh,
All
chef's
right,
kiss.
so we get our first taste of the infected here 28 days later. I call them crawlers, whatever. Like
I loved
the
it,
big
dude.
family,
Slugs.
big metaphorical and physical, but
The slugs.
I call them the big
slugs, yeah.
slugs.
The big slugs. This was like,
So damn
again,
good.
Danny
Oh my
Boyle,
God.
I feel like just messing with us, thinking that this was going to be the only type. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like, really? Are we just going to, because at this point I'm thinking, are we just going to have like another Walking Dead where it's like the infected don't really matter because they're not that powerful, and we're just going to get these like slugs crawling across the forest floor,
No
and then it's
way.
really just about humans. But yeah, no, taking the whole movie in and seeing how the virus has mutated into these different strains, if you will, and how it affects different people, I think is brilliant. I don't think I've ever seen that in an infected movie before, how it's kind of adapted the way it has. And I think they hit a home run with it.
It was
100%.
interesting to
I
see
think it's
this
interesting.
type.
You go
Oh,
first.
sorry. No, it was just
Yeah.
interesting
No,
to
you go
see
first. Yeah.
this type of infected where they were very slow, sluggish, and kind of like, in my opinion, like garbage eaters. Like they were eating everything in sight, like they
Yeah.
weren't, it didn't matter. So it was just like slimy, and I was just like, great job to see this, like how it involved. It wasn't this like the rage and filled people. It was just like these kind of maybe like how, I mean, Spike later talks about it, but how it affected everyone differently, the infection, and how these infected just are slow moving. They're not really too like aggressive. You can, yes, they go to attack, but like you're more than capable of taking one of them out. So these were less intimidating infected, and they were just like, I felt like the bottom bottom of infected, in my
It's
opinion.
so good. I thought it was so fascinating and like perfect because like how the rage like infected the living differently. It only makes sense that the infected would have different variations too. And obviously we find out the mutations where we get the alphas. But I just thought it was like so smart. They're all running. They're not zombies, but they're not all the same. They're all different too because they've evolved too over the 28 years. So I was like, damn, Danny Boyle, you're so smart. As a movie, I was like, damn. So I loved it. I loved it. I love that choice so much. And I love the scene where he's like telling him like, this is your first shot, do it. And then you also have like the creepy crawler coming behind Aaron Taylor Johnson at the same time. I'm like, ooh, this tension building. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
They almost feel like pathetic in a way. Like you feel bad for
Yeah.
them. They're just like that's
like-
their existence. That's their entire.
Yep.
Like, oh, you kind of feel like you want them to die to just put them out of their misery,
Yeah.
And then with the baby, you're like, oh no, there's a baby. I mean, again, you kind of want to just. I understand why they didn't shoot him, but it's like, what kind of life is that baby gonna
Just
have?
do
I
it,
mean,
yeah.
It's probably not
Yeah.
gonna survive. So Yeah, I thought I loved it. I thought I almost after watching this second time, I also thought that maybe this was kind of a big fu from Danny Boyle, from 28 Days Later when you had the critics saying like, oh, these are real zombies who walk slow and are they're rage guys,
Right.
and so I feel like this was like an fu, like, all right, you want slow zombies? I'm gonna give you fucking slow zombies.
Oh, that makes sense. Like these are the bottom of the bottom zombies, the
Yeah,
slow ones. I could
yeah.
see it. It
Yeah,
could be
but
petty.
it's funny
That's so
because
good.
they are the bottom of the bottom in terms of threat level. But
Hmm.
this scene was intense,
They're
and
sneaky though. They're
we have
sneaky
a
though.
scene coming up with Isla and Spike where it's
Oh,
super intense, and like you said, Ant, they're sneaky, so they're played very effectively in the film for sure. Yeah,
I also think it just shows how Jamie and Spike are different. They just have different outlooks. Like Jamie's been, it's like a way of life. He's been like, yeah, we'll kill him, whatever. And then you see Spike has more empathy. He has
yeah.
more humanity. So you get the right there. You get like their father son, but they couldn't be more different. So I like that. Throughout that. Yeah.
You saying that really makes me think, because normally you would think going into a movie like this that Spike would be the
Flipped.
one that isn't empathetic because he grew up in this world and that's all he's ever
Right.
known. Whereas Jamie is older and maybe remembered a life before, if maybe he would have more compassion because he knows these people as real people. So it's interesting
100%.
how it's flipped, and how
I liked
someone
it
like
flipped.
Spike, who's never known, what real life is outside of this island, would have the
Right.
empathy, whereas his dad didn't. So I thought that was an interesting choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
I
it was
loved it.
it was good. Good writing. Just more layers to this film.
Excellent writing.
Amazing script. Yeah. The script is really just, I was blown
So
away by it.
let's talk about these alphas.
Yeah, well, first we get the quick scene with the man hanging in the house.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
He's got
important.
Jimmy
Jimmy.
carved, down
Very
his
important.
down his stomach or whatever. That I feel like was a pretty interesting scene, and again, it just kind of really drives home the differences between Jamie and Spike. But yeah, I thought that was
100%.
I thought that was a pretty
I
intense
love that
scene.
scene,
Again,
too.
pretty intense. This movie has real intensity that you don't get, especially in 28 weeks. They really were kind of returned to form with the intensity levels here.
I just
Yeah, they put away the popcorn fun. Yeah.
well, this one too was because he's expecting him to shoot him and he's hesitating, and then you're just like something bad is going to happen the way that he's moving. It's too violent, even though he has like a sack over his face, like he's going to tear through it, and it was just like building intensity, and then you're like, I don't like it, is there, who did this to him, and is there like a herd that's coming? And then you see Jimmy, and I don't know if for you, but I kept thinking about Jim, and I kept thinking this was alluding to Jim, and so I was like, did Jim lose
Oh.
his mind and now is like this like cult leader, and he's like hanging up? So I'm like, what is happening at this moment? But it's a great like introduction to Jimmy, because
Yeah.
this is
Yeah. See,
very like
I knew because I remember I'm the opening. I'm like, okay, we're not just watching this Jim, because I remember heard the mom saying Jimmy like 3 times. I'm like, we're not.
mhm.
That's not for nothing. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, Jimmy. I thought he was gonna come in the second act though. I didn't think that it was gonna be saved for a quick like teaser for the second movie. So I was like, oh, okay, but I was like, oh, Jimmy's around and he's fucked up now.
Like really
Yeah.
fucked up.
So now we get the alpha chase, and
Woo.
we get the herd,
Such a good
obviously,
chase.
and this just proves that Spike was not ready for this hunt, because when
Mm-mm.
shit hit the fan, he tried. He didn't completely freeze. I mean, he got off his arrows, but they weren't even.
Hit
They
them
were
in the
never
arm,
gonna.
leg,
Yeah,
but not.
they were never
not
gonna
kill
land.
shots,
He
yeah.
was just way in over his head, and I feel like Jamie did the best he could. He stayed composed, and he was the one that really got him out of there, obviously. But yeah, they have to hide in the house. Pretty intense scene, and then those shots of the alpha standing on the hill. Oh man,
So
Oh.
good.
can you
The
imagine?
blacked out
I
shots.
put
Oh my
myself
God.
in their shoes, and just in that attic, and like watching the alpha from a distance, just stalking them from the hill. It's just spine tingling.
So good. I love the chase, and I was not worried because I feel like in a lot of because I realized it's gonna be a story about Spike and not really Jamie. I really thought Aaron Taylor Johnson for some reason was gonna be like the focus of the whole movie, but
Mm-hmm.
I was nervous. Not nervous. I was like, oh, what's gonna happen is he's gonna sacrifice himself to get him in this fucking attic, and then it's gonna be a coming of age story of Spike by himself. And I'm so happy that where we ended up going instead. So I was like, oh, okay, they make it up there. I'm like, okay. So I was really nervous at first. I'm like, this is when Aaron Taylor Johnson to get killed off. I really thought that for a second there, but they didn't do that. But I love the chase. I loved how threatening. I love how you see the alpha. Like you obviously have a leader, and the way they just chase and crawl through that house. I'm like, this is our zombie goodness right here. So I love that sequence so much. And then I love obviously when they wake up in the middle of the night and it's the cottage is literally collapsing. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh fuck, what are we doing?
And I believe this is the part of the film where we get the background of kind of the alphas and how I think it's Jamie who says that
Yes.
it kind of affects people differently and it kind of makes it like a steroid and it makes them stronger and faster and more intimidating. So right there, you're like, oh, fuck. I mean, they're dealing with like super soldiers at this point
Right.
that
Yeah.
are infected with a rage virus. I mean, it doesn't get more menacing than that. And they're smart too. I mean, the guy is smart. He's smart. I know like, he had like good tactics and everything. Like he sent his family or his tribe
They're
after them,
trained.
and he's
They're trained.
yeah, and he's like
Mhm.
stalking them from a distance. So yeah, it's super scary the fact that they are of sound mind and they're able to kind of coordinate their attacks, and the fact that they're superhuman in a way. It's like, oh fuck. Where the slugs are down here, they're just obviously the alphas top of the food chain. It's like night and day.
I just was starting to worry for them once the house collapsed, and I'm like, well, where are you gonna hide now? And then he's like, well, we gotta book it.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, what about high tide? This is why we shouldn't have lingered on the island. Like,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, you
so,
missed
but
probably like 3 high tides by now.
And you know, I'm like, that tide's coming back into play. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh god, this is not good.
but that
This plays out so well. I love it.
I think this was
Oh.
my favorite like chase scene in this sequence.
Very good chasing.
Oh,
Because
so
it's
good,
like this
because-
is where for me where it hit the mark of like building that real intensity of like, is someone gonna make it, or are we gonna lose someone? Like, how are you gonna get across? Because it was made very like it was a thing that like you couldn't get across with the high tide, so I was just like waiting for more water or something, and it was just like building that intensity. It was just great and a beautiful shot.
It's so clever too because
Oh.
they get so far, and it's too
Yep.
easy, and you're like, because you
Mhm.
know something's gonna happen, and then you see the alpha, and you're like, oh, here we go, but they're like, they have a good head start, but you know that the alpha is gonna gain so much ground
Oh
on
my
them.
god.
He's so
Oh,
fast.
it's so good, yeah.
He's like gliding on the
Well, like-
water.
Yeah.
It was so suspenseful and so beautiful at the same time. But no, like he's brought up that woman, whoever like she's like in charge of the lookout or whatever. She's like inspecting them for so long. They're like, we're not fucking infected. I'm like, so I like how like the people, no matter what, like a job's a job. Like you have to separate emotion,
Yeah.
you know, for good or bad. And she hesitated, but it just built the suspense. I'm like, all right, bitch, open the fucking door. Like they're talking to you, they're not infected. Like, why are you waiting so long? But I loved the way that was probably like one of the obviously the best chase scenes too. I love the way it played out. And they both made it back, so I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like, what's gonna be the second act of the movie? First,
Mhm.
I literally avoided everything for this movie. I'm like, oh, where are we going? I had no idea. I thought that Aaron Taylor Johnson was gonna die, like getting in the act. I'm like, on the way back, are they gonna kill the kid? And it's gonna be Aaron Taylor Johnson having to tell Isla that their son is gone now. It's gonna be them two. So I had no idea where it was going, and then where it went, I was like, oh, this is fascinating
Yeah.
to me. Danny Boyle, claps to you.
Well, they downplayed Isla's character so much in the
I was
beginning of
worried
this
about
film
that. Yeah.
that you did not expect her to become a co-lead by the end of this film. So
Right.
yeah, for sure. You know what? And again, that's just the script writing. It just keeps you on your toes. You don't know what direction it's going to go. So yeah, they make it back, and this is where we get more of the island scene, the
Celebrations.
celebration,
Yeah.
and kind of the family drama of it all. You know, he sees his father going off with someone else and cheating on his mother.
How
And
he's not even. That was so bad. He didn't try to like. I'm like, dude, like your son's like you're not even trying. I know you're
Right.
drinking, but like, fuck.
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's where I was like, oh, Jamie, you've went down on the totem pole of like more.
Like I don't get it, but like I know like he must be a mess up here, but I'm like, dude, like discretion at least with
In
your
front
kid
of
right
your
there. Come on, like what are you
kid.
doing? Yeah.
I mean, I know he
Yeah.
didn't know.
He's like,
but
oh, the next
still.
one's like, I didn't see you. I didn't see you all night. I'm like, you were looking for him from my perspective.
He's got a thing about not looking for Spike, apparently.
Yeah.
I hope we get more of, what was it, the grandfather figure? I forget
Oh,
his
yeah.
name.
Oh, I like that
He was
sequence.
cool.
Yeah, I like
He
that
had,
scene.
you know, we didn't talk about the bonfire, that they saw the bonfire,
Mhm.
and that's what kind of ushers in the doctor. I think is Kelson, Dr. Kelson. Obviously, Ralph Fiennes, who's awesome. But yeah, he kind of goes into what the bonfire is and who it is, and he tells Spike the truth because Jamie wouldn't tell him the truth. And I kind of wanted to highlight this because, you know, he confronts his dad about it, and Jamie tells him what happened. And I don't know, like, right off the bat, when he's telling the story and we get the visual of them kind of coming across this guy with all the dead bodies, like, I knew that he was just either trying to give them a proper burial or trying to do like a ritual and honor the dead. It didn't seem that creepy to me. So the fact that they like freaked out on this guy and just left him alone and like wouldn't even like attempt to communicate with him, I think was a little extreme. How did you guys feel about that? Did you think
didn't
it
buy
was
his
super
story.
creepy?
I didn't
Okay.
buy Jamie's reasoning for
either.
not I felt like he was lying to Spike about why they didn't contact him. I felt like they know what he was doing and they may not have necessarily agreed with him I feel like there's going to be more to that story that Jamie didn't tell Spike in that initial
Yeah.
cuz it felt like bullshit to me. Like why weren't you
Mhm.
like going to go see? You're just going to be afraid of someone like, you know?
Right. And I also think that he didn't want to find out. He didn't want to go see Dr. Kelson because he didn't want to find out the inevitable about his wife, that she is more than a little kooky, like she's severely sick. I think, like, again, Jamie's whole thing is like, I don't want to accept it. I'm in denial. And then you have Spike in the flip is like, all right, Dad, I'm going to be the man and I'm going to come of age and I'm going to go do something about it, even if I get an answer that I don't want. So I think that it's more of him being scared to go to find out, lose his wife, even though he's losing her anyway. So I think it's like a lot of emotional stuff going on in this movie. And I like the way that each character, no one's a bad person. It's just they all go about, like, again, Jamie really goes about it in a way he shouldn't. He's just dealing with it in a very wrong way instead of being honest with his son and his wife. So it's fascinating to me. I love it. But the story that I agree with Ori that the story he was telling, like, we never go back there. We don't look there. And I'm like, you're just playing it up for Spike. Like 100%.
Yeah.
I got that same vibe.
There definitely might be more to that story because when you even just think about conceptually how they deal with the infected, I mean, he has such a different outlook. I mean, he treats them as people, right? And
Right.
he even with the alpha that we haven't been introduced
That was so cool.
before too. Yeah,
So cool.
he uses crank darts. I mean, because he respects that there's still people inside of there, which is a complete 180 from what we got, and that's kind of my point as to not everyone's gonna have that, and maybe it's the right way to go. I mean, you see where they're living pretty well off, this community, but they have such a different outlook. So I think maybe that's the reason why they kind of outcast him and they never, brought him in, because he has such a different way of looking at things. But he's a freaking doctor. I mean, you'd think you would need
And
a
he would
doctor.
threaten to convert people to like his way of
Yeah.
thinking. So I think that's threatening too to Jamie and others who think like him. But I don't buy him. Like, it's gonna be like 5-on-1 alone. Like, what are you scared about?
I mean,
Like,
there's
it's one
definitely
guy.
a reason that all these characters, like Jamie, are still alive. I mean, they're definitely going to play a
100%,
role
yeah.
in the trilogy, and I think more of these storylines are definitely going to be explored.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Especially
I think the second. I mean, it's gonna be a mission now. Obviously, the second one's gonna be a very interesting mission for Jamie and for Spike.
Yes.
Let's see if they get back to each other with that shenanigans going on. But so good.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we're
yeah.
chugging right along. We get obviously Spike takes Isla, his mother, to the mainland. She kind of protests once she kind of comes to, but obviously it's too late. They can't go back. They're kind of out there now, and he's gonna try to take her to see the only doctor that he knows of in this whole world to try to fix her. And he still hopes that she can get better. Obviously, we find out what happens there, but yeah, we get to the ruins scene where they stop and make camp at these ruins. I don't know if it was like a church or something or a castle. I think it was
Let's
a castle.
talk about badass
like
Isla.
an old castle.
I want to talk about
castle.
badass Isla. That fucking, she's my girl.
Yeah,
she's a fucking.
This was
girl.
the moment where this was the obvious moment where I thought Jamie was going to come save the day. Right? You assumed that it was
so
Jamie.
happy it didn't play out like that.
Yeah, but no, they do a complete role reversal, and Isla has her first real moment of okay, she's
not to be
not
messed with,
just-
apparently.
Yeah,
She's a mama bear. She's
yeah.
a mama bear. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that was
I just love how it plays out too. You just see the bag, and then you don't see the reveal until like after they wake up and like, oh, like everything's fine, and they just do a cutback, and you just see her fucking slamming the head against. I'm like, yes, my girl. So I thought that was just so well executed, and it added so many layers. That Isla's not just a sick woman; like she's more of a badass because she's so sick, but she will fight no matter what, even though how like messed up she is mentally, physically. Like she's like, I'm gonna protect my son, and I'm gonna do what I have to do to let him survive. So I was like, this is such an important character moment for her.
Well, we see how feisty she gets with Jamie in the beginning when she learns he's going to take him out to go hunt. And so you see that like the only time she has really any energy is like during the moment she's protecting Spike. And so I loved it. Like we have this scene where we're like, who the hell is going to save them? He's asleep. We think isn't capable of like being able to help. And so we think that it's Jamie, but you get that shot of the the slug infected just like about to bite Spike, and then you just pull away with the bag, and you're like, who is it? Jimmy? Is it Jamie? Who is it? And then the way that it cut back, like you said, and see that it's actually Isla, like it's just great. You're like, okay, all right, well, she's either not, like, maybe she is infected still because that rage came out of nowhere,
Right.
or she is not all the way gone the way we think. And it's great.
Yeah, and I also just felt really bad for Spike in this moment because obviously he fucked up. He bit off more than he could chew, saying he was going to stay up all night. But that's the mentality that's been drilled into him from his father, that he has to be the man and he has to grow up real quick. And so he kind of took on that role. And this is just another example of he wasn't quite ready to kind of handle the horrors of this world and this island. And he tried to kind of protect his mother, and he just bit off a little bit more than he can chew, no pun intended. But you really feel bad for Spike because, I mean, he had to be saved in the end, and you're really glad he is, but he kind of failed in a way, too, in terms of his outlook on what he's supposed to be and how he's supposed to be a protector. And it's like, he's just a kid, man, It's really sad.
Well, that's it. It just showcases that he is just a kid forced into these like unimaginable circumstances and doing the best he can. It is sad.
And these moments
Spike
here,
goes through a lot
right after with his mother, I mean, you really get to see why Spike is the way he is, because obviously his mother hasn't been this sick for his whole life. She obviously has gotten progressively worse. So I feel like the empathy comes from his mother's side for 100%. Sure. And she wasn't mad at him after this event. I mean, she just kind of was like, let's keep going. Whereas I feel like Jamie maybe would have been a little bit more harsh on him.
You're right.
So yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a good balance. We get the Jamie of it all in the first act, and now we have Isla, who's very different, and she's talking about family and how her father, his grandfather, and stuff. And we get really the big scene, I think, of this whole movie, and I think maybe is what divides a lot of audiences. Is this next scene coming up with the pregnant infected person?
That's where the empathy comes from her.
Yeah, we have the infected who's pretty much 9 months pregnant. What do you guys think about that and how that's?
We didn't talk about Eric, the soldier. That my poor guy who tried to do the right
Eric.
thing.
Oh, yeah. Eric and his girlfriend.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, we get Eric. So we see the pregnant lady first in the river, and then we get, we get introduced to Eric, and then obviously the train scene happens. But just before we get into Eric, what did you guys think of just an infected being pregnant? How they introduced that?
Was curious as to, was she pregnant this entire time? Like, did she get pregnant?
Right.
Was she infected when she was pregnant, or is this something where the infected can have children? And so it was just that first shot, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, it is 28 years. Why would she? I just assumed at that point that she had been like pregnant and infected for 28
Right.
years, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I was like, we're gonna have a Dawn of the Dead baby in
Oh
the
my
mall
God.
situation. Kind of
Yes.
like, what's going on with this?
That's-
Like, what are we going?
Mhm.
So I was
Yeah.
kind of like going, like, this isn't a. I'm interested to see how this plays out. But the way it does, again, Danny Boyle
Oh.
subverting your expectations yet again.
We don't know for sure with this specific person, but I assume that they
Right.
can get pregnant after already being infected. I think that explains why the island is still kind of overrun with these infected 28 years later. So I think that's an interesting wrinkle. I'm just picturing rage virus sex and how two people with rage
Oh,
virus
God.
having sex. I mean, that's got to be
Alpha.
wild.
Especially with Alpha. All the alphas.
Oh God,
Okay.
I don't know how no one's taken that.
Ugh.
Well, that's kind of how I conceptualize it. Is it's the alpha that's doing all the sex and kind of impregnating the community.
That's why he's
and-
alpha.
Yeah. Very. I mean, yeah. It's like almost like a herd of lions or a herd of animals. You
Yeah.
know how you have the one. But
Mhm.
yeah, this was a choice, and I feel like it turned a lot of people off. Maybe it was a little bit jarring. People are like sticking their noses, but I think it worked.
Get that?
Yeah.
I didn't get jarring at all from this entire movie, including the ending. So it's so fascinating to me how people took
Yeah.
it's the opposite approach.
Well,
with
you
so
kind
much
of, I
this.
feel like you know Danny Boyle, so you knew you weren't going to get a run of the mill.
Yeah, but I also feel like it was more seamless. Like I said, the
Yeah.
first one, I'm like the third act to me did feel jarring in the first one, but like this one, it doesn't at all. So to me, it's interesting. I'm like, oh, okay.
I just
Yeah.
feel like we're getting to see more of the infected in 28 years. Like,
Right.
I just had to keep thinking back. Like, these are evolved, like infected. You haven't seen this before. Like, you haven't seen 28 years
Right.
of this. Like, you're so used to seeing the like slow moving zombies and things. You haven't seen where we
Right.
understand from previous films that they're not necessarily undead. They are just like humans with rage that's been amplified.
Right.
So of course, it's going to mutate in certain ways. So to see a pregnant infected, it was again like I couldn't tell if she was infected like before, but
I couldn't
it
tell.
makes
Yeah,
so
right,
much
right,
sense now looking back that she would be pregnant, that there would be spawning like a new set of rage infected humans. I don't know.
And then it's like, how long does it like? Do you have the baby that is infected?
Right?
Or I was waiting. I'm like, is
Yeah.
it gonna take a couple of minutes? Like, what's that? And then it's so fascinating because, like you said, you also have the perspective of you have the soldier Eric who's like, I'm the sole survivor. Like, kill it. It doesn't like do what you have to do. And then you have Jodie Comer and you have Spike being like, no, it's not infected. But you're like to them too, like you don't know it's not infected. But to him, it's like, and then you go to the soldier, like you don't know that it is infected. So the clashing of that alone is tension right there. It's like, don't kill the baby, but also like maybe kill the baby.
I
You
was
don't
on
know what
Eric's
the right
side.
answer
I
is.
was like, we don't know.
I love Eric and the poor guy because we did get like I love the scene when they're all like gassed out and there and Eric
Mhm.
saves it. They would be dead if it
Yeah.
wasn't for Eric. They would be dead 100%. So he is a good guy, but he's also like, in my opinion, which is the smartest way to go about this world, is realist, practical, realist. Get shit done, save people you can, but if you don't know an answer to something, you got to take him out. I
Well,
loved Eric.
he was
So
just
good.
he was also an outsider that has been watching like
Right.
like this island be quarantined. He's gotten to live his like own life with like
Right.
kind of like how we're living now, and he's going to it's just like imagine
Right.
going to an island that infected are and being trapped on that island because like once you touch land you are done. You can't ever go back to the real like the rest of society. And it's just like
Right.
he's just like, no, like I've been trained to know that these are infected and that's, it's just protect them. And it's just,
And he has way more access because he even shows a Spike. Is like, it's so funny to see with the iPhone. He's like, what the hell's that?
mm-hmm.
He's like, do you have a radio? He's like, no, we have nothing. And so it's an iPhone. I think it's hilarious when he showed him a picture of his girlfriend. Spike's like, what's wrong with her? Because she's all like
Yeah,
done
I
up
know.
and whatever, the lips and all that. That was cute and that was charming. But it's like, it just shows again how cut off Spike is from the real world and how you have Eric who has all the access to everything and he's like, no, this, and Spike's like, no, like I'm just gonna go about it my way. That's a baby, and you said that I love the role reversal and the clash of that too. But Eric to me was one of the MVPs because I was like, damn, I know he's not gonna make it, but I was rooting for him so hard. I'm like, damn, he made it like 5 minutes. I was like, so team Eric.
That was so my one nitpick with the movie was I did want more Eric. I loved Eric. As soon as he came on screen, he was so infectious. The comedy worked for me. I didn't think it was
100%.
too much. And again, you get an outsider, which is so clever from Danny Boyle, because you can only imagine the horror stories and the folklore surrounding this island. Especially him as a soldier, he's probably heard war stories from other soldiers. We saw there was the scene where the soldiers got trapped and were being chased by the Alpha. So, he must have heard so many different fairy tales, some maybe being true, maybe others being exaggerated. So it makes complete sense that he would be so freaked out now that he's alone on this island and that he would want to shoot the baby. I'm with you guys, and I'm with Eric. I'm like, I'm sorry. Maybe I wouldn't have shot it in the head, but I maybe given it a more humane death. But I would have taken a knife and just
done that.
Yeah,
I would have probably just shot his guy.
No.
But his death was fucking gnarly. Because
Oh.
you have I love how you see in the beginning how you see like the cat, whatever, it's a cow's head in the tree, and then you see the Alpha comes back and he decapitates a human like
That's
for
his
us
thing.
in real time. I'm like, God
but
damn.
it wasn't just a decapitation. He pulls his
He fucking
spine
just.
out.
I know it, and then because you had the spot in the beginning too, it's so
Yeah.
fucking. This movie also goes there with the gore, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, he
that
definitely
sequence
got.
is awesome.
I will say he definitely got the gnarliest death. So he definitely went out with a bang. But yeah, he. I wanted him to live. I wanted him to live and maybe be in the next one. I
That
think he
chase
would've been
scene though too.
He would have been an interesting main character for the trilogy if we had one outsider as a through line. But I understand why he died.
He was not long for this world. I knew once where I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna love him, and then he's gonna get taken away from me. I knew that was coming. But I do like the chase scene because now you have Spike, a baby, and his sick mom, and so poor Spike's like, oh my god, another hurdle with this baby, and he's getting chased by this Alpha. He's like trying to. I'm like, dude. Closing the doors isn't gonna do much. Run, motherfucker, run!
Did you just see
So good.
him rip that spine out? Like the door is not.
Do you see what's dangling from him? I mean,
right,
come on.
like that alone will just
That's an
bash
alpha
open
if I've
a
ever
wall.
seen one. Yeah.
That'll decapitate you alone. That thing.
Oh
my
again,
God, that's hilarious.
Poor people in the front row for these IMAX showings.
So funny.
So yeah, I mean that was a choice. I feel like Danny Boyle. I mean, knowing him from interviews and everything, he's a cheeky guy. So I feel like that was definitely intentional. Like we're gonna make this because it is confirmed it was a prosthetic. Apparently in the UK there are laws with children and private parts.
Anywhere, yeah.
Yeah, probably anywhere. But yes, but I know he was talking about how in the UK he wasn't allowed to have a naked person in front of Alfie Williams, who's a child. So it was a prosthetic, and that was definitely, he's like, make it as big as you can.
Yeah. Just make it ridiculous. And then make it 10 times more ridiculous.
Yeah. Because he also wasn't shy about showing it either. There was like a few sequences where you get like 1 or 2 seconds of it.
I should have said that guy's name, but that actor's very intimidating. I was so scared for everybody every time he appeared. I'm like, oh no.
I was like, shit's about to get real.
T. Lewis Carey. He plays Samson is his name. I think that's
Samson.
What Dr. Kelson calls him, yeah.
Yes.
Which is an awesome
Dr.
name,
Kelson.
Again. It fits in perfectly, yeah.
And I mean, Dr. Kelson, he saves the day immediately with this situation, this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how you said he just he just tranquilizes him. He doesn't just go for the kill. I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. How, we already know that he's going to be a different kind of character than, Jamie and everyone from that island. So I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, so now this is the second time that they've been saved by someone that isn't Jamie. We have Eric, who is a complete outsider, and now we have Dr. Kelson, who wasn't part of their community. So I feel like this is subtly kind of informing Spike that there are people outside of my community that maybe are worth something and worth exploring, and that's why he makes the decision he makes at the end of this movie. So I thought that was interesting that they keep getting saved, but it's not from the people that you think is going to save them. It's from complete strangers.
it was just an interesting introduction from how he was first portrayed at the beginning as like some
Yes.
crazy man, and so I was like, what is he gonna do with Alpha? And then he just left him alone, and I was like, that's very interesting that you're not this like crazy mad like doctor that's gonna do experiments, like you are leaving him alone. And then I was like, why are you just not why are you not double tapping, like he's sedated, like this is perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
That one had
Yeah,
me
and then we
yelling.
get the fact that, I mean, we get the fact that he's been completely alone, I think for 13 years, he said. Uh, the fact that he is of sound mind is just remarkable. The fact that he hasn't
Right.
gone a little stir crazy and I mean, because you're waiting for it, right? You're waiting for him to kind of appear normal at first, but then maybe like he does some weird things that are like
Hmm.
really quick, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this guy's not all there. But no, he's like this fucking super awesome, well adjusted guy who's got this connection to the past, and he's honoring his dead. I mean, he's
Oh,
awesome. I mean, he's like a great character.
he's MVP. He's so
Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes, by the way, I love him. But when you just look at the posters and all the trailers, like, oh, this Bone Temple is gonna be so like cool and crazy. Then you find out what it really is. I'm like, my heart can't take this. This is just,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. I love how the transition from like how it's like the father and son in the beginning, like you have the zombie stuff, then the mother and son, you get this journey, and then you just get really like an emotional, like, death's inevitable, but remember the loved ones that you lost. I'm like, oh, I didn't know we were going here, but goddamn, Danny Boyle, what are you doing to me
He
in
took
this
us on a
movie?
journey,
So
that's for
good.
sure.
He
Yeah.
did. He did.
It was beautiful that he, like, everyone had just forgotten all of the people who passed and were infected, and he was just honoring them by keeping them all together in this like tower of, and he
Mhm.
had them all around him, like in the poles and things
Oh
around
yeah.
Yes.
him.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it was just,
He's been busy. Yeah.
yeah, so it was just a beautiful way for someone in that society to honor him, like honor the dead, and he was just looked at as like this crazy guy, because how dare he want to just
And
honor,
he's the most humane one of
right?
all. Yeah.
He's like, no, he's not hunting for sport. He's just kind of existing peacefully, it seems, but just, on his own and doing what he has been doing. His mission was to honor the dead, and he's been doing that for years. And it's just wild that the community was looking at him like he was just this
Hmm.
weird, evil doctor, and they want nothing to do with him.
And it's so brilliant too, because like you said, Anthony, from the trailers and everything. I mean, you see
Yeah.
a bone temple that's like a pyramid of just skulls. I mean, that's really scary. And then in an instant, it goes from being scary to just being like it like hits you like a ton of
Like,
bricks, and you're like, oh my
heartbreaking,
gosh,
but beautiful.
this is beautiful. Yeah, I mean, like what a
Oh,
awesome way to honor the deceased and the past and the dead, and it hits you so hard. And you're like, oh my god, like, and it almost makes you feel guilty for even like thinking that it was like
I
some
know. I
sinister
know.
thing. You're like, oh my god, this guy is amazing. I want this guy like in my life. He's awesome. Why can't he be my doctor? Yeah. So okay, we
So,
get to Isla.
Ugh.
Aunt, why don't you walk us through this?
Oh
I mean,
God.
we find out, we find
man.
out Isla is
I
sick,
just it's
and
ugh.
yeah, she's got cancer.
She's sick. It's not like I love how the way it plays out, and I love how it's so honest between Spike, Isla, and he's like, she's sick. She has cancer, and she's not gonna get better. So it's all laid out. It's not like nothing I hate, I don't want to get typical like it's kept from him
Yeah,
and then we just get a whole thing. But he's told right away, and I love again Jodie Comer. To me, she's the secret weapon of this movie because she hugs Spike because obviously he's very upset, and she gives Ralph Fiennes' character a look, Dr. Kelson, like you know what to do. And then I like the choice of they don't like knock him out, they just tranquilize him, calm, like put him at ease, and then you just see her walk off. I'm like, oh no. I
Hmm.
know, I know what's gonna happen right now, and she's humanely, euthanized, obviously, because her journey's done, and it's just so beautiful the sequence of him cremating her, and then he gives Spike her skull, and you find the best spot of all for her. I'm just like, oh god damn. And I just love how he talks about how the bone temple, it's like, I forget what is it called, like the memento mori, it's like
Hmm.
remember death, like death is inevitable. But then he also says memento amori, which means remember love, like remember all the memories and all that stuff. And that's when I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna cry for about the last 20 minutes of this movie. But I thought it was so beautiful. And again, the score and everything, and I like how you saw the flashbacks, the tender moments between him and his mom. You had the little playfulness, when it was so rough with the dad. She, even in her sickness, she was just trying to make her son smile in so many moments. So I appreciated that. I thought it was so, so, so beautiful. And then even, when they go run into Samson again, the doctor just Kelson just wants to save him and like go back. I thought he was gonna go back with them, but he's like, no, you go back. We tranquilize him yet again, even though he almost got killed. He almost got killed, and he still just tranquilizes him
I
again.
know.
Actually, no, Spike saves him that time. Spike saves him that time,
Hmm.
but it also like he goes back, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna go back, and then Spike doesn't go back. He just sends the baby back, and it breaks my heart because they named the baby Isla. I'm like, not only is the mom's name Isla, but my 8-month-old niece's name is Isla. I'm like, this movie is giving me an emotional breakdown and like hug at the same time. So it was so beautiful. I love the way it played out, and I love that Spike was not ready to even go back to his dad. He needed to do some more exploring by himself after losing his mom. And obviously the ending we'll get to. But I thought it played out beautifully. I don't know about you guys, but I was not in store for all the feelings that I was going to feel in that third act, and I sure did feel them. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
I loved that they didn't take time with her sickness. Like it wasn't gonna
Yeah,
prolong. Like she made the choice to be like, all right, well, my time has come. They told Spike, and then it was like she was gone. Then like by the morning, and it was just
Yeah.
so quick. But it was under her like her choice. And
everything. Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
that he got to, at least be there with her as opposed to her just like passing like randomly. So I
It
thought
was
it
so
was
beautiful
beautiful.
and so touching. I mean, she talks about how she kind of always knew that she
Yeah.
wasn't going to get better, and so she was ready. They
Mhm.
were just preparing Spike to be ready, and like you said, Anthony, Dr. Kelson, that's him being a doctor. I mean, doctors have to deal
Right.
with that and deliver bad news all the time, so that's him leaning on his experience delivering that news, and it was just beautiful. We talk about they talk about how everyone dies. It's just a matter of when, and are you going to go on your own terms? And that's a hot topic. It's always a hot topic on do people have rights, like
Right.
with euthanasia and stuff. So it was just very very emotional, and yeah, I'm with you, Ori. I was kind of surprised how quickly things
Mhm.
went from okay, she's sick and not getting better to okay, I'm gonna put her down now, and here's her skull. I mean, it happened like that.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was, but it was also done with great care, and
Yeah.
it didn't feel too jarring. And you're kind of in Spike's shoes for this entire montage, and you kind of see the sequences when he's tranked and he's kind of a little loony, and then when he finally comes
Right.
out of it, he's presented with the skull. It's almost like we're being presented with the skull. And yeah, Jodie Comer just
Oh,
amazing. Like I said, she really comes into her own in this movie, and I'm really glad that the script was nice to her because she has some great moments. And this is the highlight for me: is right at the end of her life when she's dealing with her son and dealing with her own death, just so beautifully.
I
it's
love
so good. It's on her own terms. It's like she's being. I don't think she's being selfish. I think she's being selfless because she doesn't want to suffer, but she doesn't want her family to suffer anymore either. So she's really doing it for her son. She's not doing it to ease her own pain. So I was like, oh, again, this movie, you're hitting me. You're hitting me in the heart.
well, yeah, she would end up being like a liability for Spike in the end
Right.
because she
Right.
would only slow him down, and now I feel like she's also in taking in consideration the new baby. Because now, like,
100%.
there's like there if there's just two vulnerable people for Spike to look after, like they'll never make it. And so I feel like she is making that choice to not only help Spike, but probably help the baby because instantly she had that maternal instinct to care for the child. So it was just her character. I loved this scene that we didn't touch on, but in the field when she's talking about her father and, all of the things she experienced, but they kept her not like a little girl, they kept her with like her being still as an adult and just kind of like where her mind was, just being still like taken back to that moment of being a little girl, but keeping her in that like her adult body. And I loved that visual of just
So
like,
good.
it was just a lot of beautiful moments, especially with her character in this film.
She even calls Spike dad. Like that's when she's reminiscing.
Hmm.
It's so good. Again, she's might be to me like the secret MVP of the movie.
Oh yeah, she's the heart and soul. I mean, her connection with Spike and her just, obviously her timely death is just what brings this movie over the top in terms of its layers. And again, I was not expecting to cry so much in a 28 years later film.
I know,
But
what the
Danny
hell?
Boyle just, yeah, he just delivered, and in a good way too. Like you said, and or I think I said it, it's very cathartic. Because
100%. Yeah.
it's the right thing to do, and they're so confident, and Dr. Kelson is so kind of confident in his actions, and I was surprised that he didn't take the baby and even deliver it to the island. He stayed, so he's on his own
Yeah, he
now
left.
again.
Yeah.
Spike's on his own. They deliver the baby to the community, which was the right thing to do because they have the resources to actually
Oh yeah.
care for the baby. So I thought it was the right thing to do, and it just shows again Dr. Kelson, like his character, like he could have been not jaded, but he could have been lonely, and he could have like begged Spike to stay, or even went with
Right.
Spike and say, I don't want to be alone again. But he knew that his place was there, and that Spike had to do his own thing, and he kind of didn't push back at all. So I thought that was beautiful too.
That was just
100%.
his
And
character.
Spike learned everything from his 100%.
Mhm.
And Spike learned, I feel like his coming of age was whether you like his dad's methods or not. He learned from his dad in the first act. He learned from his mom his whole life, how to be a human and how to be empathetic. And then he learned a lot from the doctor as well, how to go on too. So I feel like his journey, his coming of age was so, I mean, Danny Boyle just planned that out so well. It's so good. And I like that he didn't even leave his dad hanging. Like he could have just shifted. Like he gave his dad a note, like, I'll come back when I'm ready. I don't know how that's going to play out now that he runs into these freaks, but he did let it, his dad wasn't left completely hanging on his fate, at least with that note. So I thought that was very mature of Spike too. You have that emotional moment with Aaron Taylor Johnson where he like runs out to the water like, fuck, where's my kid? And he's obviously grieving his mom too, his wife too, but I'm just like, and then I just love I don't understand, because I did see online, like I didn't get spoiled, but I'm like, the ending is just ridiculous. It ruins everything. I'm like, it's a minute long. I'm like, it's set up and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I like the kill sequences in that. It was fucking awesome. Power Rangers, hell yeah, fuck yeah. Let's see the kills.
Yeah, Power
It
Rangers.
was a throwback to the
Teletubbies, all
Teletubby
that,
shit. Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean? It was so choreographed from the beginning of the
Genius.
movie.
It was like, because
Yeah, I loved
initially
it.
I was taken back by it. I was like, what? But it's just genius. And it makes me so excited because knowing who that character is now after watching this film,
Yes.
I'm so
Same.
excited. Like, I'm like, oh, what are we about to get into for this next film? But like, right back to the child in the community, I'm like, that's so trusting of Spike to leave the baby with the community with their rules. So it's like she came out of an infected. So she has a potential to be infected, even though she doesn't appear, but we all know
Right.
that some people could be immune. So I'm very curious also about what is going to happen with the baby and growing up in that
100%.
community and like what exactly, because I don't think they're going to go too far forward in the story because Spike is still going to be the same age, being that they filmed at the same time. So
Right.
I'm very curious to see what exactly, even if I wonder if they're even going to touch on the community in the second one.
I was gonna ask that. Do you guys think it's just gonna be Spike and this crazy crew in the next one and not even have like anything from there, or do you think it's gonna be a mission for his dad to go back and save and then be? Because I think I can picture like with how wacky Danny Boyle is, just to have it just be Spike and this crew like the entire movie, and that's it. Like I don't know. What do you guys want and what do you think? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's called the Bone Temple, which is really fascinating. Is the Bone Temple a reference to what we saw in this film? Are we going to go back to
Right.
Dr. Kelson's kind of hideaway, or
Or is it a
something
different version of a different Bone Temple?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't
So,
know. Yeah.
yeah.
But no,
I
this
can't wait though.
this ending, when we see Spike getting chased by these alphas, and you're just
Oh,
like,
The
you're like,
score
you're now
kicks
you're
in.
on your own. You don't
so good. The
like,
score, dude. Oh my god.
and so
Yeah.
it was just when he gets finally cornered to the like the wall, the rock wall, and you're just like, you're screwed, kid. You are screwed. And then out pops this like group of colorful velour tracksuits out of nowhere, all of them blonde, and then you see the one main with decked out in jewelry, and you're like, oh, that's the Jimmy we've been seeing written
Yeah.
everywhere on the walls, and his mom's talking about. Also, I felt like Jamie wasn't completely Spike's dad. Because she brings
Mm.
out in her fit of argument, your father would have never let you go through that. Um, she talks about Jimmy multiple times where it made me feel like Jimmy isn't, or that Jamie
That's
wasn't completely
fascinating.
Spike's father, that maybe Jimmy is
That's so
Spike's dad.
fascinating.
It's just,
Oh, I
I could be
cannot wait for the
wrong and didn't
sequel.
pick up, but there was just, I remember thinking in her fit of rage when she finds out he's going to be hunting, she goes, your father would have never let you go, and he would have like hung you, or like she says something that made me feel like Jamie wasn't his dad because of the way she
Hmm.
reacted. I have to watch it again just to be, because I may have heard it wrong, but
Yeah.
I didn't know if anyone else picked that up.
No, I didn't. That's interesting. Um,
I think I did. And I heard her say whatever. I didn't know if it was like just
yeah, I
you know,
remember what you're
due
talking
to her
about, but it
illness.
didn't click
Yeah,
to
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh yeah. And
That's-
just Jack O'Connell, give him like he is a horror movie fucker of a villain. Between Eden Lake to me is the most disturbing. Ugh, fucking hate him in that movie. And then you have Sinners, who he kills it, and now this, I'm like, dude is going for it in these horror movies.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so that's 28 years later. We got through it. That was a lot of
Woo.
fun. Good discussion. I'm really glad we're all on the same page. That was a really fun time. We've kind of been pretty much consistent through this trilogy. We've been
Yeah.
kind of on the same page. Scores have been slightly different, but I feel like we feel very similar, Larissa. And I hope we're 4 for 4. I think it's coming out in January.
January, yeah.
Yeah, 28 weeks later, which is pretty clever of Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be fun. So we definitely got to have Oriana on again for that.
Yep.
We're going to cover that. And yeah, that's going to be fun. So let's get into our never split up moments first,
shit.
and then we'll get into our scores. Anyone want to take the lead? Go first?
I'm trying to think right now.
I mean, I'll go if you want me to go
You
first.
go.
I mean, I'm going to
Yeah,
go with
you can go.
one of the more obvious ones. I'm sorry if this is yours, but I'm going to go with Jamie. Just bringing Spike out and
Yeah.
overstaying their welcome on the island. He got his first kill because I knew it was like the primary reason for them to leave was for him to get experience. But I didn't know it was going to be specifically for him to get a kill, and they weren't even going to scavenge anything.
Yeah,
So
that was so messed up.
that was so
yeah.
weird how they didn't even like look for food. I mean, there was a whole herd of deer that ran by him, and he didn't even care. I was like, well, why don't you shoot the deer and get
Right?
some food, bring it back for the community? But no, it was literally just sports. So him overstaying his welcome with Spike and kind of throwing him into this world when he wasn't ready. He's just a kid. I think that was a big moment where you're kind of screaming internally, like, what the hell are you doing?
I think
100%.
I think for me, mine is Spike leaving the community. Because like ultimately,
Yeah.
like, even though the way that his mom went was a more graceful and loving way, he still didn't really get to spend more time with her. And just leaving the community when you're not fully prepared, even though you have the best intentions, ultimately, some things ended up going wrong. And I just felt like
Yeah.
he should have, trained a little bit more, but, I understand why he left. He just wants to save his mom, and I probably would do the exact same thing if I found out there was a doctor on the mainland.
Right.
And I have a few experiences with killing the infected. Like, I would probably do the same thing. But when you look back in hindsight, he just wasn't fully prepared to handle that. He made it through by the skin of his teeth, but like, he wasn't prepared to go out on his own with his mom. So that's my moment. I know we needed that coming of age and we got it, but
Right.
I would have waited a little bit.
That's a good moment. I didn't even think about it that way because he in the end he didn't save his mom. He didn't really. I mean, yeah, he gave her a more graceful death, but it's almost like he wasn't ready for that. He was just being, his mom was right to say, "What the hell are we doing out here? We have to go back because
Hmm.
they were safe. Like they had a warm bed at night." And yeah, that's a good moment.
Yeah, like that too. I love it. I'm gonna go. I mean, I'm not a bad person, but I'm just gonna be like realistic. Like I'm gonna go with Eric staying with Isla and Spike after initially saving them. Like you did your
Mm,
good deed, you saved them, but unfortunately, whether you want to admit it or not, like Isla is a liability, and Spike is a kid too. It's not like he's a super trained Jamie, so I would be like, I did my good deed, but I'm gonna leave you because I can see this getting me into some sticky situations in a little bit, and it sure does. It leads to his death. So I would have been like, I saved you guys. Like I gave you your extra chance. Like peace. So he was a really good person, and he stuck around with him. He tried to help him, but it literally led to his demise. So one good deed and out. Like that's
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
the rule of thumb. So
Okay,
Eric stayed with the
cool.
crew.
All great moments. Three different characters, so that's going to be a fun poll. So vote on our Never Split Up poll. It's going to be on our social media pages at Never Split Up Pod. Okay, let's get to our scores now. Ant,
Woohoo.
you saw it most recently. Why don't you kick us off
Yeah.
with your score?
Okay. Guys, yeah, I am in shock at how much this movie meant to me. I knew Danny Boyle wasn't gonna do a typical sequel, and he gave me everything I wanted, and he gave me also things I didn't know I wanted in a 28 Days Later movie, and that to me is like almost the highest praise ever. I gave 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later an 8. I love them both for very different reasons. This one to me has a little bit of both of them, but just so much more heart. And I will say this is my favorite 28 Days Later movie. I am giving this movie a 9.3. I think the slight nitpick I have is that at the end it's not a complete movie because it does end on a cliffhanger, but I know I'm getting another movie, so I let that go by. And I wanted a little bit more Aaron Taylor Johnson to like get that more of that like flash, but overall it's like almost perfect. So yeah, 9.3. This is an all-timer and it's clearly going to be one of my favorites of the year, if not my favorite. So beautiful, beautiful stuff. This is my favorite 28 Days
Okay.
Later movie.
Real quick, would it have felt like a complete movie if we didn't get the Jimmy scene and it just ended with Spike kind of going on the country, like wandering the countryside, and we didn't get that chase scene? Would have felt like a better ending where it didn't feel like it was trying to usher in
I
the sequel so
it's
much?
it's weird because I really like the ending because I know like I like even like I could even tell them like I can say to myself the ending that we got like that could be Spike's ending, like in a weird, dark way. Like that could have been like the group takes him and they're either gonna kill him or he's like gonna succumb to that lifestyle, and that's the
Yeah.
ending. But I know it's not played up for that. They're playing it up for a cliffhanger, but my mind could make a permanent ending out of that. But I think cathartically and emotionally, maybe saying goodbye to his mom and putting the skull out and shipping the baby back, like having that be the ending would have
Yeah.
been more like to me like emotionally like the perfect way to end it, but I'm good for a stinger. And
Okay.
I could have made sense of it either way, even though there wasn't a film like already filmed already, so I could have made sense either way. But yeah, love this movie. 9.3.
Okay. Great. Ori, why don't you go next?
All right. So, like I said, initially when I first watched this, I was nitpicking at everything and I love the first two so much that I went in really harsh with this film. But the more that I talked about this film, the more that I felt like there were so many layers, so much we were given that I wasn't even prepared to get. And visually, it is stunning. I love so many of the shots and so many nods back to other 28 films, like the with the alphas in the back. Like it brings me back to the tunnel scene and seeing the group of
So good.
infected, and it's alpha just ripping out, you get all of these really great gnarly shots. And after going back and discussing it, realizing what a gem this film is. Like, it's such a great sequel. And I am so happy we did not get the same two films that we got before, that we got a story, like a complete story of Spike and his journey and the kind of character he is, which I really feel is going to come into play versus how Jimmy is and the way that Jimmy grew up. I love getting to see Spike, and I feel like this is preparing us for the second one. And I loved I loved the score, and I loved the characters we were given. And so I give this one, for me, an 8.5. Just, I love the other two have just a special place in my heart. But as far as like starting a new trilogy and keeping with, Danny Boyle really keeping with his style and not giving us the same regurgitated film, is just, it was genius writing, and the visuals were beautiful. And I really think that people should go into this film with a more open mind instead of wanting it to be just like another 28 film. Like, there's so much to unpack with this film, and it's definitely got rewatchability, and I'm really want to rewatch it again just so I can go in and find all of those little things that I missed before. So yeah, I loved this film. And I'm really excited for the Bone Temple. I thought
Yeah.
it's still one of my top in 2025. It was just all around a great film.
Yeah, ditto. Everything you guys just said. I mean, this movie has, like you said, Ori, so many layers. It's the whole package. You
Mhm.
go down the list of what makes a film great. You have the acting performances, you have the direction, the cinematography, the score. The script is one of the best scripts because it just swings for the fences. It's an IP, it's an established IP that had so much expectations, and they deliver on not just putting out a solid movie, but the lore and expanding the lore of this universe. And we talked about it slightly, but how the rest of the world is kind of just condemned this island to just fend for themselves is so creepy. And I wonder
Mhm.
if we're going to get more soldiers and more of the outside world in the trilogy. And because I think shit's going to hit the fan, and by the third movie of this trilogy, I think stuff's going to maybe go bonkers, kind of similar to 28 Weeks Later, where just stuff is going on. So
Hell
I
yeah.
can't wait. I mean, this was such a great, I don't even want to say return to form because it's so different from our first two entries, but I am so excited for this trilogy. It's a borderline perfect movie for me. It doesn't drag. It has a longer runtime for a horror flick, but it didn't drag at all. It has so many cool sequences. Like you said, Ant, the gore is there. It goes there with the gore, and the practical effects are awesome. I love this movie so much. It's probably my favorite so far of 2025. I'm gonna give it again. I forget what I gave 28 Days, but I might be with you, Ant.
You
This might
give it
be.
high. You give it
I
high. Yeah,
was.
I
It
can
was in the
remember.
nines. This might be my favorite though of the three when I'm looking just objectively. I'm gonna give this a 9.5.
Oh
Nine
yeah.
point five. I mean, it's gonna have staying power with me. I can't wait to get this on physical
Oh
4K
yeah.
copy or whatever and just watch the shit out of this. And I'm really excited for you guys to watch this a second time because
Mhm.
I need
especially
to.
you, Oriana. Now
I
that you're
know.
kind of open your mind to it, you're gonna have so much
So much
fun the
fun.
second viewing.
Yeah, I know. I like think back to shots, like when I'm thinking back to this film, and I'm like, that was so cool. I wish I appreciate
Yeah,
like that after the baby was born, like I was still so focused on like you double tap the child. Like, why are you doing this?
Exactly.
That like when he just like comes in and just rips Eric's like head out of his like whole body, I was just like, whoa.
It's so
yeah.
It's
crazy.
just
You're gonna be able to sit back more and kind of
mm-hmm.
appreciate a
See
lot
Yeah.
that
more
whole
of this
spine
movie.
next
Yeah,
time.
That whole spine. I mean, you get
yeah,
distracted, it just pulls up and you're like, well, but
yeah.
yeah, no, it's still
Okay.
a great film, even though like I know I rate it lower than like the other two. It's just the other two have a special place in my heart, but
Oh,
all
for sure.
around
I
as
get
like
that.
script and visually and sound and everything, this was in performances. Like Alfie was just incredible. All of these
Mhm.
performances were incredible, and it's just you really get connected to these characters that I feel like in the other ones you are connected, but you're connected to, I feel like, certain characters, not everyone. And I feel like we as a viewer were able to connect to everyone, even Jamie, and and the
100%.
doctor and Eric and the mom and Spike, and just these different characters that they just have so much story, and you can tell that he's really telling a story. He didn't want to do another like 28. He really wanted to do something with a good story, and he did that. and it's just
Even Samson,
yeah.
even our boy Samson, you connect with. I mean, he sees
Yeah.
he sees his
Yeah, that's
pregnant
true.
wife
Uh-huh.
is dead, and the baby
He's-
they took the
he's
baby,
like,
so
yo.
you're like, oh, I'm with him. I'm
Right?
Don't kill him. I mean, as far as he's concerned, they're the villains in his story.
Mhm.
So
Right.
yeah, I mean, just beautiful. You're right. Every character just was so well done. I mean, even Eric, who got no screen time at all, just instantly
Yeah.
clicked. So yeah, okay, this was a lot of fun. This was a pretty long
Yeah.
episode. I'm really glad to do this discussion with you guys. And until the Bone Temple, we'll
Well.
revisit this franchise. But this was a lot of fun, kind of diving into these 3 movies with you guys over the last couple months. And yeah, before we sign off, Oriana, you want to shout out your channels
Oh yeah.
and tell
Find
people where they
me-
can find you?
Yeah, Oriana Nichelle at Instagram, TikTok, and then the Horror Catacombs is my letterbox, which I have all of my lists, weekly lists for my series called Freaky Flick Friday, which talks about the new horror movies releasing that week. But yeah, that's all my socials.
Great. And again, thank you so much for coming on. You've become somewhat of a semi-regular guest on
Oh,
the
yeah.
podcast. We love having you on. This was another great discussion. Yeah,
Thanks
go
for
follow her on all of her channels and follow us at Never Split
Yes.
Up Pod. We just hit some milestones. We reached 300 subscribers on YouTube, which was a grind, but we're really proud of. We also have 300 followers on the podcast side of things, so we're slowly growing. So thank you, everyone, for subscribing and everything, and thanks for all your interactions. We really appreciate it. Until next time, this is the Never Split Up podcast, and we'll see you later, guys. Bye.